This is going to be a clip from three of the most important voices that are in this movement right now. Katie Halper, Ronnie Kallick, and Rabbi Brant Rosen. I need you all to understand that this was something we were talking about in terms of what Israel was doing long before October 7th. This is well over a year ago, and you're going to get a taste.
I've been saying it for a long time, people.
Here we go.
I was leaving for the day. The producers called me, said, yeah, just want you to hear it from me. The higher ups at the Hill saw your radar, saw your monologue, and they're not going to be running it. And I asked why. She said, oh, there's a policy I didn't know about. It's a new policy where we don't do, at the Hill, we don't do op-eds, video or written op-eds on Israel. I thought that was weird. I kind of pushed back respectfully, was like, well, why don't you run it? And then you can have someone with an opposing view respond to it, or have me on with someone else who disagrees. I really want to get it out there. And so behind the scenes at this moment, I'm reaching out to Ronnie Kallick at Breakthrough News because I really want to make sure this video gets out there. So I show her the script and she likes it. I'm talking to the producers. This was on a Monday that they refused to run the radar, and on a Monday that I recorded it. Then talking to them over the course of a few days. Wednesday, I get a call from the editor-in-chief of The Hill who tells me that they're not going to run it. I ask him why. He says, we got lots of pitches all the time that we pass on, which is just not how it works there. Like, I know this from my friends who work at The Hill, and Ryan Grimm, who wrote about this at The Intercept, who used to be a host at The Hill. As he mentioned, he estimates he did probably 150 of these radars, of these monologues, and nobody ever pushed back at all. Nobody even edited it or looked at it. He said, you know, they just load them into the teleprompter, typos and all. So I didn't find that a convincing reason. Then he said it wasn't in our sweet spot of coverage because it was international, not domestic. Again, first of all, there's the Rashida Tlaib aspect, which makes it domestic, but also as someone who's both guested and hosted at the show at Rising, I know how frequently international stories come up. So then what they had told me, the producer had told me that this policy about which she hadn't known, and I believe her, I think she didn't know about this policy, that you couldn't do Israel op-eds, but that you could do segments on it. So to clarify, a segment, when I would go on every week over the course of 3 years, that was a segment. I would go on as a guest and I would talk about a story. So my understanding was that you could talk about Israel, according to this new policy, as during a story, if not a straight to a camera monologue. So I said, so can I talk about it on my segment tomorrow? And they said, check your email. And that's when I got an email from someone at The Hill saying, we won't be needing you to come in to do your segment tomorrow. Please send any unpaid invoices. Best of luck.
Travers.
It really speaks volumes to the lengths that they are willing to go to in peacetime, quote unquote.
So that was happening a year ago. And so now what's happening in terms of the deplatforming and the discrediting and, you know.
Same thing happened, you know, to be honest. It really, you know, Tim Iverson dealt with a very similar thing. But it's different. And the reason why it's different, and the reason why I think the knives are out for Jen in particular, is because Katie Halper is a very well-known independent media journalist who's Jewish and from New York and grew up in that Zionist environment. And she's basically telling all the slaves, hey, you don't have to stay with your slave master anymore. And they're all going nuts, which is why they're really going nuts to Jen, because Jen's from that. You know, you're from that.
I mean, I have now been basically equated with the Jews that turned in their family members
to
the Nazis.
Vicious. You guys, if you guys are not following Jen on Instagram,
do so. I'm not following it, but I get here and there.
Go take a look at the comments. Go take a look at the messages being left by the how do you say it? What is their Israel battle cry in Hebrew? I don't know what to say. There's like a specific phrase that they're using.
I don't know what you're saying.
Chayim Israel.
Oh, L'chaim Israel.
Okay.
L'chaim Israel.
Yeah, which is supposed to be to life. Yeah, with the
I only care about their lives.
Their irony, but that is true. And there's one thing I will tell you guys: their bigotry, when they want it to fly, they'll let it fly. Like, they're not going to hide it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. So those women, and this was this is one of the reasons why this is really hard for me and very cringy for me in particular. Like, so when you're watching that footage of those women harassing Medea at the thing, and I don't know those particular girls, but I know those girls.
Oh, man.
I grew up with those girls. I know those girls.
Would you say that that girl is like those girls?
Oh,
the one the one that said what they said?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And except for she is Israeli. But like,
oh, I'm sure those women that
they might not be Israeli. I don't know that they're Israeli. They're Jewish. I don't know that they're Israeli. But neither, that's irrelevant. But like those girls, they really believe. See, this is the fundamental problem with all of this, truthfully, is where we're coming at this from. See, the problem is that people in my life, like friends and family, they're coming at this from Israel is very legitimate, is needed for the safety of the Jews, and anybody who attacks it is a terrorist. So Hamas are terrorists. But I don't see it that way anymore, and that's fundamentally the problem. I see them as, like, for example, I would suggest Jews that don't see this, look up things like, let's say, the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. Because at best, Gaza is a ghetto. At worst, a concentration camp. But either way, these are people in captivity. Oh, we're losing. When people are in captivity and they are rising up, that's not terrorism. That's resistance. And again, this is all perspective. So
yeah, did you
I
see
know,
what you did?
And the problem
that's the way it is.
And I am telling you that the women, like that way they were speaking in Medea Benjamin, I grew up with those women, not those women, but women like, and I assure you, yes, they are that absolutely entitled, and they are that angry and vicious. And what that says to me, and when I know that there's angry comments, to me, what it says is these are people that don't feel they have any power, so they feel the need to lash out. What it actually shows me is that they are very powerless, and that they're starting to realize that. Because people that have actual power don't lash out at people that don't agree with them.
Facade is falling off.
So, right. So when somebody comes at me and attacks me for something like that, it's you obviously are insecure about your position, yourself, whatever it is, because to come at me with anger when what I'm talking about is just factual information, it's like, you can be angry at me all you want. You know, I have to live my own penance for being used as a tool for ethnic cleansing by the Zionists. All right. I'll have to spend the rest of my life doing penance for that. That's between me and me. But people coming at me and insulting me, it's like, you're just showing how desperate you are and how powerless you feel. And you really should get help for that. But attacking me is not going to solve your problem. That's what I know. And again, like I said, you're screaming into the ether. Well, you're screaming at him.
I can take it.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.